Great, thank you, Rick. Good morning, everybody. This is Thursday, May 26th, our weekly Rotary meeting. We had someone lined up to do the inspiration this morning. Unfortunately, he could not make it, but I just happened to have had a really lovely story that I wanted to share with all of you from yesterday. So first of all, I would like to just take a moment of silence for all of the people in Texas. Thank you. So yesterday I had the privilege, can you see me? Yeah. I had the privilege of going to the Williston Central School, which was a little painful as well after the shooting in Texas, and met with the students from, I believe it was Swift House, who made the little libraries that we funded. So this is the one that our Rotary Club has. It's quite lovely. It's a plexiglass door. It's all weatherized, nice shingled roof. And it was very inspiring to be there to talk to some of the staff at the school and to listen to the students in the hallways, to watch a few of them run in the hallways, which I was told by the other students wasn't really allowed, but it was okay yesterday. And to be a part of getting pictures of the kids with this house in the school and outside the school. And then having the kids say to me, would you like us to carry it to your car for you? Which was really sweet. And of course I said yes. And I had a huge bag in the back of my car of potting soil. And one of the young boys looked at me and said, I think this would fit better without that. Would you like me to move that to the back seat? Which of course I said yes to. So while I will never understand what happened in Texas, my heart goes out to all of us because we're all impacted by this. And I'm inspired by the kids and the teachers that I met yesterday and how, despite all of this, they persevere and try to continue to move on. So the kids at Williston Central School and the staff are my inspiration moving forward. So thank you. And our Rotary cog this morning is from Jeannie.
Good morning, everyone. So in trying to determine what I was going to learn about Rotary, I ran across an article on the Rotary website about how Rotary's emblem evolved in the history of the emblem. Have we already had that?
I don't think so.
Real?
Yeah. Have we had that already? Well, we're going to get it
But
again.
go ahead, share with us what you've learned.
There you go.
Okay, so interesting little tidbit of information. The Rotary wheel has been unchanged since 1924, and it was basically it originated around 1905 with an emblem from the Rotary Club of Chicago, which was just a sketched wagon wheel with 13 spokes. And a fellow club member began to complain because they felt the design was too static and lifeless. So the creator added some flourishes that made the wheel appear to ride on a bed of clouds. But unfortunately, some of the members still weren't happy because they felt the clouds looked like dust, and that would defy the laws of physics because it was being kicked up on both sides of the wheel. So that design was out. And then in early 1911, it was recommended that action be taken by the National Association to establish the wheel as the basic part of the emblem for every Rotary club. So the first talkings of getting some definition across the board. And clubs were invited to submit designs to an emblem committee before the 1912 convention in Duluth, Minnesota. And the Duluth Convention did provide some definition. They wanted the emblem to consist of the basic principle of a wheel with gears cut on the outer edge. The spokes were to be so designed as to indicate strength, the object of the gears or cogs being twofold, first to relieve the plainness of the design, and second to symbolize power. So spokes are for strength and the cogs are for power. And then, blah, blah, blah. Hold on, sorry. Oh, the number of spokes and cogs was unspecified. So as a result of that, there were tons of different variations in the emblem that kind of popped up. And so they needed to standardize the emblem to address the growing number of different emblems that were out there. So the Rotary Club of Chicago's Charles McIntosh and Oscar George of Duluth, Minnesota, were basically the committee that were charged with standardizing the emblem. So George drafted an emblem with 6 spokes and 24 cogs, giving it a very sturdy appearance. And in this design, the number of teeth and spokes was intended to reflect a real working gear wheel. The number of spokes and cogs really did not reflect any specific aspect of Rotary's history or its programs. So then in November 1919, the board adopted this design, and in 1921, it was formally approved. And for many years, though, the design was still not completely adopted throughout the organization. And in 1924, George designed a modification to include the keyway. And this was attributed, this addition, the keyway, which is that center piece in the middle of the cog, of the wheel, was attributed to Will Forker of the Rotary Club of LA. And he was reported to have said that George's design made no provision for the transfer of power to or from a shaft, rendering the wheel idle, which nobody wanted to think of Rotary as idle. So Forker, who perceived Rotary as a living force, inserted the key wheel into the hub, which made the new wheel a real worker. And that was the ultimate design that we have with us today, back as far back as, you know, being designed in 1924. So there we have it, the history of our emblem.
Thank you, Jeannie, very much. I appreciate that.
You're
And
welcome.
before I pass to Barbara to introduce our speaker, I apologize. I didn't start by thanking the people who set up this morning, and I really feel that's important. So I want to thank Phil and Armand and Charlie for setting up the room this morning. I appreciate that very much. And to Armand and Rick and whoever else set up the system, thank you, because it's always a little bit of a challenge. So without further ado, our speaker chair for May is Barbara, and I will let you go ahead and introduce our speaker today.
First, an apology to Cristina. I didn't realize she didn't get the link. And I was playing around and found it, so I apologize. As you know, this month we've been focusing on the arts. As I like to call it, it's full steam ahead. And our first session was on the visual arts. The second one was on the musical arts, and now we're doing the theatrical arts. Cristina Alicea, and I never say her name right until I apologize, she knows that, has been producing artistic director of Vermont Stage since 2011. During her tenure, she has shifted Vermont Stage programming to focus on the production of contemporary theater. By highlighting present-day stories, Vermont Stage strives to produce theater that honors the immediacy of the art form by reflecting back to our society as it grows and changes. Every Vermont Stage season is curated to give voice to pertinent issues of the day, especially those that directly impact our community. Under Cristina's leadership, Vermont Stage has experienced unprecedented growth. She has expanded the artistic programming from 5 to 6 productions a year, moved the company to a brand new performing arts center on the waterfront, created a new youth company to provide theater training and performance opportunities, and has doubled the company's annual revenue. As prior to her arrival in Burlington, Cristina spent a year working as assistant to the managing director at Woolly Mammoth Theater Company and 10 years as a freelance director. Over the years, she has had the pleasure of working with the Ensemble Studio Theater, the Cultural Project, the Forum Theater in DC, the American Globe Theater, Fringe New York Festival, Theater Rhinoceros, Next Stop Theater, University of Vermont, and Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park. She was a finalist for the Denham Fellowship given by the Society of Directors and Choreographers and is a member of the Lincoln Center Theater's Director Lab. She has a Bachelor's of Art in Theater from George Mason University. With all that impressive background, I am happy and proud to introduce Cristina. For 6 years, I was a board member, and so is Ashley Michael. And we've had a long connection with Vermont Stage and hope that others who have never been to a stage production will consider coming. Cristina, the stage is yours. Unmute. Unmute.
Hilarious. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you. I apologize for not being there in person. This was actually pretty great for me doing Zoom. I have a 3-year-old son, so I was able to spend a little time with him this morning. So I appreciate that. So I feel like I've seen some of you guys. I've definitely come and spoken to your Rotary before, and I've seen some of you. So who here has been to a Vermont Stage show? Maybe show of hands. I know a few of you definitely have. Great. So I'm among friends. Many of you have been to our shows before. So Barb gave me a lovely introduction, but Vermont Stage is, oh, you know what? I kind of want to share. I created I have a few little photos that I want to share. So I'm going to see if I can share my screen. But before I do, actually, I want to see. So those that raised their hands, was there a particular show that you saw that you enjoyed? You'd be willing to share with the group? Anything, you don't have to remember the title per se, but just something that stands out in your mind that you've seen that you enjoyed.
I will just say that I've enjoyed every performance that I've been to. The setting is wonderful. The actors are just very, very skilled, and it's great. And we can't wait. We have one coming up, I think, in a couple of weeks.
Great, thanks.
And I know Jude had something to say. Go ahead, Jude.
I guess I would go right along with Leslie. I've seen probably 7 or 8 performances, and there hasn't been a bad one in all of the ones that I've seen. I agree too that because of the setting, you really feel like you're part of the performance rather than just watching one. And I really enjoyed the fact that you incorporate a lot of young people in the performances, so they get a chance to really start to add to their repertoire of performance and everything. And the cookies there are to be commended as well. They're large and really good. So anyway, so I always look forward to whatever performances that you folks are putting on.
Thank you.
Yes.
So,
Anyone else?
what was that?
I was going to say, does anyone else have something to say?
Charlie has something he wanted to share, Barb. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's the name of a play,
We couldn't hear him.
Strange Incident of the Dog in the Night.
Yeah, if you
Come
don't
over
mind
to the
coming up.
mic.
The strange event of the dog in the night.
Mm.
Yeah.
That was, I think, one that Charlie particularly liked. Did you want to say more about that, Charlie? Or do you want me to say more about it?
I had read the book, so that it was not new to me, but the way that it was presented with the actor of the boy who was acting as being autistic was just really I can't imagine how it could have been done any better. It was a very, very moving play. Marty?
Thanks for joining us, Christina. Vermont Stage is a treasure we should all be very proud of, especially you. But there's a play, it may have been before you arrived, because I'm not sure how long ago it was, but it was about a classical music string quartet.
Opus.
Does that ring a bell,
Opus.
Christina?
Yeah, that one's called
And
Opus.
they, yeah, that's right. And they have to adapt to the loss of a member, and they've been together like 30 years, and it just causes all these fascinating strains and tensions within the group. It was a very memorable play for me.
Lovely. So thank you all so much for sharing some of your experiences. Oh, you're back. Okay. I wasn't sure. And I want to just share my screen because I have like a couple of photos, as I talk, it might be more fun to kind of look at those. So I will just do this, I think. All right. So can you guys see that? I'm assuming.
Yep.
You can. Okay. Cool. So yeah, so this was actually our one of our most recent plays is Annapurna by Shar White, this photo here. So many of you are familiar, but Vermont Stage is Burlington's home for contemporary theater. We've been focused on producing contemporary theater for, gosh, now at least 10 years. And that just means that we're doing plays by writers that are still alive. We sometimes work with the writers when we have opportunities to do so. And we prefer contemporary theater because we feel that the work is talking about issues of today and talking about, all the things that are happening in our society and in our world today. And so the work, because it's by writers that are still with us, they're making social commentaries about, everything that's going on. And so it just feels much more relevant to our lives and the impact on our lives. And so that's why we do contemporary theater. We've been continuously, pre-pandemic, we were continuously in operation since 1994. So 27 seasons before the pandemic, based out of Burlington. We're now at Main Street Landing Performing Arts Center, and we've been there since 2019. Prior to that, we were at the Flynn Center in the Black Box Theater for, I think, about 20 years. And then prior to that, we were more itinerant. But we've made Main Street Landing our home, and we love the space there. And here, I just want to share another photo. This was one of the first shows we did, Relativity, in our new space at Main Street Landing. Feel free, anybody that's seen anything or liked anything. So this one's about Albert Einstein. And so, the work that we do typically, this is the one that you were talking about, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. So just thinking about, generally, what does theater do for a community? And I'm preaching to the choir here, I think, because so many of you have come to our shows and you've experienced it. And so you know firsthand what Vermont Stage may mean to you and what theater at large means to you. But just generally, theater is a cultural place for people to go and experience some entertainment. So at the baseline, it's an entertaining way to spend your time. It also is an economic driver. So, over the years, we've probably brought about 250,000 people downtown Burlington to see our shows. And many of those people go and have dinner beforehand or have dessert afterward or drink afterward. And so because those folks are coming to see our shows, a lot of times we're stimulating the local economy, the restaurants and the bars, and sometimes the shops prior to our performances and afterward. And, I think I think we all know sort of how important arts organizations are to a downtown, just with the Flynn Center there. I think once the Flynn opened, I think that really impacted downtown Burlington and made it much more of a hub, a center for people to convene. And I think that was a crucial part of the renaissance of downtown Burlington and Church Street. And the other arts organizations in the area, as well as ours, are also economic drivers and, constantly bringing people down to the central part of our city, the heart of our city, to engage with each other. The other thing that theater does for a community is brings us together in a space to both be entertained, but to think about things that are going on in the world. I consider the work that we do social justice theater. We're doing contemporary plays, but the contemporary plays are about things. They're about important things. Some of them are historical in nature, like talking a little bit about historical figures like this photo you're seeing here of Marie and Rosetta. That was a show that we did right before the pandemic. And it's about the life of Sister Rosetta Tharpe, who was arguably the founder of contemporary rock and roll. So she inspired Elvis Presley, all of the great men in history that were so-called the creators and founders of rock and roll. Rosetta Tharpe preceded them and inspired them. And so this is sort of a story that is maybe not as well known largely in our community. And sort of this is an unsung hero of the music world that just doesn't really, just isn't really spoken about a lot. So this is a great example of a play that we produced that in some ways is educating and informing the community about pieces of our history that we may have overlooked. And also other things that we do. This was our production of The Legend of Georgia McBride. This play was really fun and, a comedy about a Elvis impersonator who is hard on his luck and decides to perform in drag performances to make a couple extra bucks. So, the premise is really silly and it was a lot of fun. But I think one thing that it did was it introduced our community to the culture, the drag culture that exists in Burlington and other communities. And it enabled us to start conversations about this culture that, again, our audience may not know a lot about. And it opens up conversations about, the impacts of the community on LGBT groups like this one that are vulnerable, trans people, teens and adults, and drag queens are some of the most brutalized people in our community. They're very vulnerable. They're attacked. They're treated horribly in so many ways. And so we were able to do a bunch of talkbacks with the Pride Center and with other LGBT groups in the area to just, use this play as a way to start meaningful conversations about, LGBTQ rights. And so that's something that we do very regularly that is very important to Vermont Stage and to myself, is that we're producing plays that entertain, but again, they're starting meaningful conversations about important subjects that are impacting our community.
Christina,
Mm-hmm.
why don't you mention when Talkback usually is on Thursdays, right?
Yeah, so we're not doing them this season because of COVID, but we are planning on bringing them back next year. So they're Thursday evenings of basically Thursday evenings of the run. So if we had a performance tonight would be a Talkback Thursday. And they don't cost anything extra. They're just a part of the show. If you buy a ticket, you can come and stick around afterward and join the Talkback. And the Talkback is usually the people that we have at the Talkback. We don't usually invite the actors or any other artists to join us in the Talkback. The Talkback is a community conversation about the themes of the play. And so we often invite people from our community who have relevant experience in the themes of the play. So like Rosetta Tharpe, we were going to do talkbacks with musicians to talk about, and music historians to talk about Rosetta Tharpe and her impact on music. This is another show we did, Fun Home, which hopefully some of you all saw. Again, this is another one that actually is about LGBTQ rights. So, and this is based on Alison Bechdel's graphic novel. So, you know, most of the plays that we're producing are really focused on being socially relevant. And in that way, you know, when people come to see our shows, they're entertained, but they're starting these meaningful conversations. And for some people, they're learning something valuable and perhaps shifting their perspective on a particular topic, or, you know, just gaining new insight. And in some ways, I feel like that does a lot to raise our social consciousness in this community, and in communities around the country. Much like some churches do, much like perhaps Rotaries do as well. I think it's important to, you know, our community's mental health and the health of our culture when we participate in the arts, and in my view, especially in theater. And so just thinking about, you know, what happened over the past 2 years. So this is, I'm going to share for us what happened, but this is where our story is not unique. Every theater in the country, you know, we ended up shutting down actually in the middle of that production of Maria and Rosetta. And we're closed for almost 2 years, right, Barb?
Close, yeah.
For 2 years. It feels like a blink, but
look at the creative solutions you came up with.
I know. And, you know, and we sort of just decided to sit and wait. I think a lot of organizations decided to do online performances. And I ended up feeling like that wasn't a good fit for me and for Vermont Stage. I'm not really, you know, I thought that was like not really theater. You know, theater, the whole part of theater that makes it so special is the live component, where the audience is there, you know, sitting across from the actors, and there's a real exchange of energy in the room. And so when you don't have that, feels like something is missing. And so we didn't really go into the whole online performance aspect of things. We did that for Winter Tales, but I felt like Winter Tales is a storytelling show, so it's lends itself more to doing that online. But generally we sort of decided to hibernate, to just sit and wait until the time came where we could reopen. And then as we were thinking of our plans, we decided to pivot to picnic plays. And so this past summer, we ended up doing 2 outdoor performances. This was Popcorn Falls by James Hinman, and we did that at Isham Family Farm in Williston. And that was a really fun comedy about putting on a play. And so a lot of people came out to that. People bought picnic baskets and got to see our performances outdoors in a beautiful scenic environment. And then the same thing in August of this past summer, we did a play called Maytag Virgin by Audrey Cephaly, and that was again outdoors. That was actually at Ashley and Andy Michael's house. They very kindly let us build a set in their backyard, and we did the performances there. And that was also a really great experience. So we got a lot of positive feedback about that, and it helped us sort of bridge that time away from people, just being able to do the shows outside and say, hey, we're still here, we're still here. So I think a lot of people were excited that we did that. And in fact, the feedback was so positive that we're going to be adding a summer outdoor play to our seasons permanently. So we're going to be doing one this summer at Isham Family Farm in August, which will be fun. And then we ended up doing a winter indoor season. We're still right in the middle of it. And in fact, the show that's coming up next is The Lifespan of a Fact. That play is about truth in journalism. It's a really wonderful comedy. It's very, very like gut-bustingly funny. But it definitely is a send up of sort of modern journalism, and that line that seems to be blurred a little bit between, being truthful and sort of, saying things that best suit your agenda. So that is the show that's up. And Barbara LeWinter has a group discount, 15% off. So if anybody doesn't already have tickets to the show, you can go online and buy tickets and enter the code BarbGroup15OFF, which is right there. And you will be able to, and I can send that out in an email if you guys want, if you want to get tickets to see it. Barbara always has a discount. Barbara always has the hookup for a special discount to our shows. So if you ever want one, always tap Barbara for it. So yeah, this is coming up. We completed a play called The Thin Place. We did Annapurna, and now The Lifespan of a Fact. And then the Bake Off after that, which is going to be a play called Guard of Carnage. So those folks that aren't coming to Vermont Stage yet, I encourage you to come to a show, come check it out. The work is always entertaining at minimum, and you might take something away from it. It's always a conversation starter. And you can go online to our website, sign up for our newsletter. Another way you could be involved in Vermont Stage, again, is come to a show, bring some friends. You can become a donor. If you have a business and you want to sponsor a show, you can come chat with us. And we're always interested in meeting people that are interested in board membership or joining committee. And Barb was on our board for 6 years, so she's a really good person to chat with about any questions you may have about becoming more involved in Vermont Stage. And that's what I have. So
Okay, I'm going to ask if there are questions for Cristina.
yeah.
Are any of the previous plays available on YouTube or somewhere to watch?
No, they aren't. We have to license the plays even when they're provided virtually. So we're not legally allowed to just share them. We would have to sell tickets to them for us to be legally allowed. So we did film The Thin Place, and we are planning on filming The Lifespan of a Fact. But that's something that we learned through this pandemic, is we didn't record any of our shows in all of our history. And then when we were shut down, some theaters that had an inventory of plays that they could revisit and share with people. And so that's something that we've been doing more of, is just creating archival videos of productions that we've done. Any
Marty, do you have
other questions or comments about anything?
I don't have a question, Cristina, except thanks for doing this. But I just wanted to put a little plug for The Lifespan of a Fact. We saw it a few years ago on Broadway, and it's rare that a play is, at the one hand, is hilarious, on the other hand, really makes you think. So it's really a terrific evening. And I didn't know anything about it when we saw it on Broadway. Both Barbara and I were blown away by that play.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So what are the dates of that play?
It actually opens next week, June 1st through the 19th.
We're looking forward to being there. So
Thanks.
thank you. Does anyone else have questions or comments for Cristina?
It's a very quiet group this morning.
I think it must be the weather or the children stomping around upstairs. Cristina, thank you for making this available to our community, because it really is a gem. and such a great opportunity to get out and see some wonderful theater. So thank you.
Thank you so
And I
much.
do hope that people will come to the Isham Farms this summer. The picnic plays have been delightful and lots of fun. And with that, if there are no more questions, I'm going to tell Cristina that we thank her as a speaker. We make a donation in your honor to the mentoring program at Williston Central School. And we're very appreciative that you gave us this morning to share Vermont Stage. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Barb. Great speakers. And I always love that you bring steam full ahead to us. Steam full ahead? Anyway, you know what I mean. Thank you, Barb, very much. Before we get into other announcements, the PR committee has been working really hard and is trying to find ways to encourage the community to tap into us, to A, know that we're here, and B, know that we want to be an integral part of the community. And as such, interestingly enough, the Rotary Club received an email yesterday that I want to present to all of you, and we need to vote on it. So without further ado, this came from Jenny Davis, who I believe is a counselor with the Champlain Valley School District. Hi, I work for the Champlain Valley School District, providing support services to students and families who are experiencing homelessness or housing instability. I'm working with a family right now who need to leave an unsafe housing situation and are moving into emergency housing. This is a mom and 3 children who attend Williston schools. And in addition to the disruption in her children's lives, the mom is very worried about being able to maintain her employment during this transitional time. The mom's car needs about $1,000 worth of repairs, and we are trying to find community resources to support this family during a very difficult time. Is this something that the Williston Rotary might consider helping with? We have asked other community organizations throughout the county, and there are currently no resources to help with car repairs. Please let me know if you have any questions or if I can provide any additional information at this time. So I did reach out to Jenny after I got this email, and the family does live in Williston, as you know from that. The mother's car is currently at Goss Dodge. I have no information about what's wrong with the car, why it's at Goss versus any other repair shop. That I don't know. I did let her know that we have helped in the past other people who needed help with vehicle repair so that they could continue to work and be productive members of the community. So she, number one, offered gratitude that we had even responded. She said, I've sent out so many emails and gotten no response whatsoever. So I wanted to bring this up to the group because we obviously don't have to offer any assistance. We don't have to offer all assistance, but with an amount like this, it needs to come before the whole club. So I wanted to share this with all of you and see if anybody has questions, concerns. No. Oh, Jeannie, thank you.
I kind of was walking in as you were reading, so maybe you already mentioned it in her email.
Okay.
But I know Goodman's Garage, don't they do repairs? I know they rehab cars to give to people in need. And in fact, my mom had donated a car there when she gave up her license, and it was really sweet because they gave the person who got the car, wrote her a note and sent her a picture, and it was just a really good feel-good story. But I know there is that resource in Burlington.
In Burlington, okay.
I don't know a whole lot about them other than my own experience with them.
Okay, thank you, Jeannie. Now that you say that, I think I've heard of Goodman's, but
Good news.
oh, good news. Oh, goodness. All right.
I don't.
Leslie, you're frozen again.
Oh,
No, I'm pretty sure they don't.
Okay.
I think their model is too good.
Like, they might consider either assisting in repairing the vehicle she has or arranging to have her get a new one, because they could do either one depending upon where she is in the process. I mean, somebody should evaluate what's really wrong with a vehicle and determine whether or not it's worth fixing, or they should just junk it and
Right.
get her a new one. And I think that's something that the Good News Garage people who are experienced mechanics could assist with that. At least certainly should ask them. I donated a car there as well, and found a great satisfaction with the fact that it found a home with a family that seriously needed it.
Thank you, Phil. And actually Armand said almost verbatim what you said when he first heard this.
So
Oops, hold on just a second. Armand and then Sherry. Go ahead.
If I can reply to that, Leslie very respectfully told me, well, that's not what they were asking. They were asking for money, not suggestions. You know,
Well,
but
if it takes money to solve the problem, that's something that the club can consider, but you can't say that you give them $100 and it's gonna take $600 to fix the car. Well, what is that? They're
Right.
not gonna help them any.
right.
They need to have the vehicle, and we need to solve their fundamental problem, which is to get themselves a vehicle that's functional so that they can get to work.
And if you give them $1,000 to fix a junk car, that's just gonna break in
Then-
another
then-
couple hundred miles,
Right.
like, yeah.
Not only are we wasting our money, but we're also not serving the purpose to which we really want to address, which is getting them transportation back.
Thank you, Phil and Elizabeth and Armand.
But then your donation, if you still want to do the donation, can go to Good News Garage, because they're, it might
Right.
in a roundabout way help that individual and then help somebody else.
Exactly. Go ahead, Ted.
If Good News Garage is going to be an option, the vehicle's got to be transported. So maybe we could offer to pay for the tow or transport from one place to the other. If Good News Garage is an option, then maybe we should fund that move.
So it sounds like we're looking to take on this person.
Well, I don't know. What I did tell Jenny was that we would discuss it this morning. I would get back to her. So I think it's important. I love this conversation and people are coming up with good ideas. And, I can present to her Good News Garage and see if they've already checked that out. They may have, I don't know, but I can bring this to her. Elizabeth?
My friend owns Runway Auto, and she always rebuilds a car and gives it to a needy, usually a single mom who's trying to get to work too. So that's another option.
Okay.
She does one a year, usually, maybe two.
Where is that garage?
Runway Auto.
It's in the back of the airport.
Oh,
If
okay.
you go the back way to the air guard.
Okay, perfect. Close by. Oh, Jude, go ahead. Thank you. Thanks, Rick.
It occurred to me when I was at the meeting last week that we used to have good news and bad news and newspaper news fines, which brought in additional money for us. And for 2 years, pretty much, we haven't had any of that. So I think it might be helpful for us to know what our balance is that we're working with, that we can actually contribute to various organizations. I know, for instance, that we're going to be doing the 2 scholarships, but it just occurred to me, I have no idea where our financial options are at this point after the last 2 years.
Thank you, Jude. Jeannie, can you speak to that off the top of your head?
No, not right, really. Because I can't think of, if I log into the online banking, I can speak to it, so bear with me.
Okay.
We are planning on giving a treasurer report at our annual meeting.
Right.
just So, you know that, but do something else while I log in.
Sure.
and I can
Sure.
give you-
Go ahead, Walter.
One of the things that we should at least consider is finding out what Gossage has found before we move it at all, just to figure out what are they saying. And usually it deals with, can it pass inspection? If you're fixing a car, but it can't pass inspection anyway, then you're just wasting your money. So
Right,
are they looking at to get it inspected, and this is what they came up with? So that's one thing. before we move it, decide anything else. I think the other part will be is Sally and I worked with Burlington Break Them Up on the last one. And they helped at least give us an honest appraisal of the car and did end up fixing it.
And what was the name of that facility, Burlington what?
Break Them Up with
Oh, thank you.
South Burlington, Williston.
Okay. Don't we have anybody in Williston for repair people?
Scott Leister owns the shop. It's actually out by the airport, but
Okay.
Quentin Brothers is about the only one, I believe, in town.
Okay. Well, are they worth reaching out to as well?
Yes. Sally knows them very well.
Right. Okay. Jeannie has information.
So yes, Jude, this is for you, or for everyone really. Just the balance in our charities account is $11,750 approximately. As far as our budget goes, I know in the charities account at our last board meeting, we do have a lot of budgeted money that we haven't necessarily spent yet.
Right.
So I don't know if that helps you, Jude, but that's the charities budget.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much, Jean.
Thank you,
Very
Jeannie.
welcome.
Are there any other thoughts at this point, Charlie?
I'm just wondering how time dependent this need is. If you have a woman that's afraid that she won't be able to keep working, this may not be something that we want to spend a month researching, that we might need to act quickly. And I would suggest you find that out. We can use email to vote.
Yeah.
We've saved a little bit of our charity money because we're not sending anybody to pets. We are still going to go with the full $3,000 in scholarships. So that'll be coming out almost immediately.
You meant Ryla, right?
We're not sending anybody to Riley.
Right,
Yes,
yeah,
I did
yeah.
mean that. Thank
Okay,
you.
yeah.
You gotta listen to what I mean, not what
That's exactly how I knew it was Ryla. I knew what you meant. And that's an excellent point. And I think that, I am not going to be the one to be researching this, nor do I think it's the place for our club to research this. I will share this information with Jenny. That's her job with this family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that was
And
all I asked the
Yep.
guidance counselor, is it a time dependent problem?
yeah. So Debbie?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, if the woman's already taken the car to where she trusts it to be repaired, I don't think it's for, I mean, the ask was, will we contribute to repairing the car at the estimate that she's gotten? And I don't, either we do that or not. We have tons of money, and I don't think telling her, assuming that she doesn't know what she's doing just because she's poor and she hasn't been able to, find people is for us to say.
I really appreciate
Until
that.
I said, I'm not like to tell.
I do appreciate that comment.
If she's taking it to a garage, then we should be able to get the information.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that garage, yes, but I don't think we need to tell her that she needs to go to 3 other places to get other estimates.
Yeah.
I mean, she can, but.
I'm not so worried about that as I am about whether or not whatever it is she has for an estimate turns out to be a vehicle that can be inspected and she can use it.
Yeah, right,
That's
yeah.
the critical factor here.
Yeah.
What is it gonna cost to take her from where she is to a vehicle that runs that she can use?
Well, she may have already found out all that and she's just asking for the money. I don't know. I just don't think we should assume that she doesn't
Do is
know
to
what she's
assume
doing.
she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
And say, have you been assured that you have a vehicle that can pass inspection and it's not gonna be breaking down every other week once the repairs are done?
Right.
The other thing, the last time we did this, we capped it at 500, just so that we didn't, we said this, and anything above that, we expected that the person who was working, but didn't have the transportation, like for the job, that they had the ability to pay any difference. And they did get it fixed.
But was that job a $500 or less job?
It was right around that area by the time we got the estimates and so forth. It was about $500, maybe a little more, but it was in that area.
So we do have some options, and I will definitely, well, first of all, does anybody else have anything to contribute to?
I'm willing, if we have the money, to vote in favor of supporting this woman to the tune of $1,000. I don't have a problem with doing that. The reservation about whether it really repairs the car enough to make it worthwhile or not. If we could settle that in 24 hours,
Yeah.
I'd be happy to vote online in favor of. In fact, I would make a motion that if we find that the car will have a life, that we vote to give to pay the bill up to $1,000 for the repairs.
Okay, we have a
I'll
motion on the
second.
floor. Debbie seconded that. Anybody taking minutes?
Anybody on
Just kidding.
the computer, anybody have anything to say up there?
I've been asking. Nobody's had anything yet. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to, if we find that the repairs will make the car drivable for the foreseeable future, we will spend $1,000 to repair that, up to 1,000. That's been the motion made. It's been seconded. Are there any questions or concerns before we take a vote?
I don't like doing this. I don't like requests for money not going to the board before they come to the club. It just, as a general policy, I think it's not a good way to operate.
Okay, duly noted. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand, please. Any opposed? Okay, great. I will check and then I will share the information with everyone. Okay, does anybody have any announcements?
Again, this month, there'll be no service committee meeting. We have quite a few projects going on with the Adopt a Bench. Susan, thank you very much for putting that on the website. You did a fantastic job. It's out there. Hopefully everyone will adopt a bench and go out and visit, see what it needs and let us know. We do have stain or preservative available. If your bench needs that, I'm going to get some black paint for the metal benches to paint the cast iron, work on that. And any supplies that you need after visiting your bench, let us know. There are plaques on order. Is that correct, Leslie? Or
No.
They're not ordered yet, but we want to put plaques on all the benches. A lot of them don't have a plaque yet. Or it has come off, whatever. So go online. I sent out an email yesterday with all the steps in case you're not familiar with it. And hopefully next month we'll have another service committee meeting, but I think we've got a lot going on right now with Memorial Day and benches and everything else that we're going. Thank you.
Thank you. Any question? Oh, go ahead, Marty.
So we have a race committee meeting tomorrow morning at 9. Sorry, it's slightly short notice. I think it's an important meeting because and I hope everyone can attend. It'll be a Zoom meeting. I'll send out a link. We have this is where we have to kind of get down to the nitty gritty about the specifics of organizing the race. So again, it's important we get as much involvement as we can.
Was everyone able to hear Marty? Okay. All right. Oh, Jude, you have a question?
Just an observation. I believe that the trail that we've adopted as being cared for is the one that comes in on Oak Hill and Old Creamery right by there. And if that is the one that we've adopted, when I was driving by the other day, they had tremendous amount of damage there. Right as you were driving, you go past Old Creamery and start up the hill. On the right there was a whole cluster of trees that all have come down. So I didn't know whether anybody else has seen that and whether there were other things that were further in on the trail that we wouldn't know about that might be down.
Thank you, Jude. And actually, Armand and Elizabeth's daughter Elena and I did trail work last weekend there. We'll take a look at that. I suspect that the town will be handling that because I know they've been going all over.
I think what Jude's referring to is the Bhutan farm has cut a bunch of trees on that hillside from the barn going down. And that was done intentionally by the Bhutans.
Oh,
It's
okay,
not storm damage.
okay.
Excellent. Thank you, Jude. And thank you to Elizabeth and Armand and Elena for all the trail work, especially Elena. She had her handsaw and she went to town.
She came prepared.
She did. Any other announcements? So when there is trail work or any type of service work, if you could make sure that I know and Susan, or let me know so that I can let Susan know and we can make sure this gets publicized, because on our website, we're asking people if they want to participate in service projects and if there are things that they know that need to be done that they would like our help with. So we can get that publicized. The Memorial Day observance is this coming Monday, beginning at 8 o'clock at the War Memorial Park between the town office and the annex. We have Sally's son Hazen, Sally and Will's son Hazen, who will be the bagpiper at the beginning. And then I will be welcoming people. Eric will be speaking. Phil will be reading names of or dedicating the bricks that we currently have and reading names on those bricks. And then also, who's reading the names of the deceased? Is that you all? No, Terry is. That's right. Thank you. Terry will. And then we have a student from Williston Central School who will be playing taps at the end. Barbara?
Is this going to be streamed at all?
No, but we will be recording it.
Okay, and then it will be on YouTube?
I think so, if I can talk Debbie into doing, okay, yes, yes.
Okay, no, because one of the people we're honoring, the family would like to see it, and they're living in Massachusetts, so I was.
Okay.
So I'd appreciate the link once we have it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking about that. The gala for the Williston Community Theater production is coming up June 23rd to the 25th. The 23rd is the gala. That is the opening night that our Rotary Club purchased the tickets for initially. So I hope, is anybody planning to attend the gala? And we are. Oh, excellent. Okay. The more the merrier. I've asked Helen for information on how many tickets are left. I haven't heard yet, but if you want to go, I would recommend getting your tickets. And we all know the changeover is June 30th from 6 to 8 at the Isham Farm. And I do need somebody in our club to post to Front Porch Forum for June, the recruitment letter. So we have a copy of the letter that Angela wrote that you're welcome to use. Sally did a variation on that, which is available for you to use. So is there anyone who would be willing to do that for the month of June? Thank you, Elizabeth.
You'll send me the letter.
I will, yes. Yeah, 6 to 8 at the Isham Farm. Sally, did you want to say anything about speakers for next year?
Yeah, just that, of course, I had hoped to be there to pass around the list, but that's not happening. So please, everybody consider taking a month next year. Ellie Beckett has already signed up for July, so that's all set. You can send me an email if you already know what month you want to do. Otherwise, I'll probably not be there next week, but I'll have Leslie pass a list around so you can sign up. Thanks.
Thank you, Sally. Everyone's done an awesome job this year, and I expect that'll continue. Charlie?
So the speakers for June, the first week, of course, is a business meeting.
Right.
The second week will be Aaron Brady talking about the legislative session that we've had this year.
Excellent.
The second week will be Tony Lamb talking about his walks on the El Camino de Santiago. And then the third week will be the story of beer. I have my son who is a certified brewmaster and loves beer,
Oh.
coming in to talk about beer.
Yeah.
You know, I wondered if we wanted to ask him to have a sampling at the changeover. We won't have that here.
Yeah, because we can't do it here, but I think that would be lovely. if we wanted to. Thank you, Charlie. This is awesome. So have you posted this to the website? Okay. Would you like Susan or I to do that? Okay. All right. Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm excited about all of those, especially Tony. Okay. The one service project that I'm aware of that's coming up is Chris Stewart, and I'm sorry he's not here, doing the Fontaine canoe access. I can put that on Front Porch Forum. I don't know that there's a ton of work to be done there, but if a few people wanted to join him, I'll check with him first. So that is all I have. Does anybody else have any other?
I'd like everybody to know that I'm going to bring the list for the Fontaine access area next week's meeting. Where we've got volunteers up to the end of this month. We need to do June through October. I'd like to get that all filled out. So if you kind of think of your schedules and when you could do that. We're doing it twice a month, beginning of the month, middle of the month. So come prepared with a week, with a day, actually. It takes about an hour. Mowing, maybe a little string trimming. And there's usually a little bit of trash, but not a lot. Thank you.
What's it?
Anything else? Oh, Susan?
Well, the PR committee's been working on a plan to have us appear and have a booth at one or more farmers markets this summer, and we're not sure of what schedule makes sense. But we've been working on what our presence would be: a canopy, a table, a display, and some interactive, maybe prize-winning situation. And we're not ready yet to offer a particular schedule, but we are interested in knowing whether folks are willing to perhaps, people a booth one or more times this summer.
I would be more than happy to.
Excellent.
My wife goes to them all. I might as well accompany her. If you, I have no problem there.
Should we be spending the money to get a blue canopy with Williston Rotary across the front of it?
Yes.
I think that's a great idea. My understanding is that the club actually has a canopy, but
Isn't that it?
it may have moved south.
Yeah, so Isham Farmers Market is one of the places, or that's, I think, the main place we're thinking of, but also possibly the Richmond Farmers Market.
We still haven't run an Adams. Yeah.
Tuesday, the Trucking Tuesdays. Yeah, I think that's a little different.
Yeah.
There's normally a fee involved with setting up the tent.
If Mike charged us a fee.
That's what
We'd
I
get in big trouble.
Well, and I have to say that as a club, I believe that we owe Mike and Helen a huge round of gratitude for all that they do for us. There is no fee for us to do Isham Farms.
Right.
And we've
but
talked.
Any of the others, I don't know.
I think the Richmond one, I think we can go twice for free. And then if we're going more, then we would need to pay. I did talk with Mike about twice a month because we thought that doing a weekly might be a bit much. Maybe we wouldn't have enough content or whatever. And also maybe it would be hard to get volunteers for that much. So Gary, I know you're interested. Marty, did you say you were too? Okay. Who else was interested in doing farmers market? Elizabeth? Walter?
Based on Isham's farmer's market, like we could even relieve you for like an hour or half, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we all rotate
Yeah.
through there, so we could,
Shall I put you on
probably-
the list?
Not yet.
Okay.
Because I don't, Tuesdays are kind of sketchy for me,
Okay.
but one thing that happens a lot there though is weather. They lost a lot of, there were a lot that got interrupted
Yeah.
with thunderstorms, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
That's
that's
not
a great
gonna
farmer's market.
It's not gonna rain, Sharon.
Then
Not-
then I can't go.
Okay. Okay, if there aren't any other announcements, I'm going to pass this to Armand for sharing.
I have one.
Sorry, Barbara, go ahead.
I was going to give you the link that Christina had in case people wanted to get tickets for a
Okay.
15% discount. So that'll come with your message when you do the
Okay.
notes.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Leslie. Does anyone need to leave rather immediately?